I want to discuss the horrific tragedy where 8 New Yorkers were killed by a terrorist, quote unquote. Now, the reason why I use the terminology quote is because a lot of politicians are using the loaded political terminology terrorist in order to distract the citizens, the public, away from the true spirit of Islam and what she stands for. When we use the terminology terrorism, it denotes a context of a political ideology which can be deceptive and indeed distrustful. We need to understand the heart of Islam, the historical Islam, and how she came into being. And when we do that, we will see how she ticks, what motivates her, if you like. And this the government will not do, or the liberals' agenda. So it's quite easy to label them as terrorists and leave it at that. Now, the reason why I argue that the political term terrorism does not apply is because, as I said before, it is loaded with a lot of deception. It gives the illusion that somehow it is justified because there is a political agenda. Maybe in its theocracy, in its theology. But indeed, when we look at the Quran and we look at the Muslim, the chemistry and composition of their leader Muhammad and what he did and what he ordained, we begin to realize this is not terrorism that we understand, but this is devilry, this is demonic, this is the devil at work. But the government does not want to admit that Islam is not conducive, nor can she, if you like, meet up with a modern world. Islam is a religion that is trapped in 7th century, 7th century, 619 when Muhammad was born. But Islam is trapped in the 7th century psychology and always will be. Islam is not about progress, despite the LGBT and feminists trying to sugarcoat Islam with a beautiful white paint or brown paint, whatever the terms can be. They try to beautify Islam, and you can't, because in the Surah 3, Surah 2, Surah 5, 9, 8 and 10, the most deadly surahs in the Quran, where it actually tells you if you are not a Muslim, then your life is worth nothing. And what we saw in New York is the manifestation and the true face of Islam. These cyclists were not Muslims, and therefore their lives had no value. But I could hear you pleading, why is it then that the government are not telling us the truth, that the Quran teaches that we should all die? Why won't the government Tell us the truth. Why are people hoodwinked into believing that Islam is a peaceful religion? Why is your government deceiving you? I will tell you why in a second. You cannot make America great again, nor can you really care about the American citizens if you continue to sell arms to terrorists or countries such as Saudi Arabia that move these weapons to these terrorists. It doesn't make sense. How can you claim that these Muslim terrorists you are fighting against, and yet you sell arms? 1 billion. This is both America and Britain selling 1.5 billion pounds arms to Saudi Arabia, and then Saudi Arabia then give these arms to terrorists. It doesn't make sense. Maybe you can explain this matrix or complex relationship that the Western world have with these terrorists. Do you mind that your government are using your taxpayers' money to arm Saudi Arabia? Do you mind, or you don't object to it? And you wonder why we have situations like these that's happening in New York. What we are seeing is twofold. You have although they claim that it's to do with Palestine, etc., but whenever they do a bombing, they never say free Palestine. They always say Allah Akbar, right? Meaning God is great. And that is how they are trying to enforce the Islamification in Europe and America, through violence. And because the Quran teaches that you cannot live in America or Europe without trying to propagate Islam, whether through dawah, the softer approach, or whether through jihad, through war and what they call terror. Okay, so you cannot believe that your Western government loves you when they are using your taxpayers' money and putting it into the arms of these terrorists. If you regard that to be a normal transaction, if you think that is a normal business relationship, then why be surprised when they try to kill you? Why would I want to invest in a drug dealer knowing full well that a member of my family, is probably a recovering drug addict, and I'm going to invest in a drug dealer knowing full well that drug dealer is making money of somebody in my family who has a drug addiction? I'd cut off ties with that drug dealer. I would cut off ties. I would have nothing to do with that drug dealer. But the mere fact the American and the Western government continues to peddle and build relationships with these Muslim terrorists, with these Saudi Arabia, then it tells you your government is lying to you. And the reason why your government is lying to you, because they know they can get away with it. All they do is use beautiful words and they use their political language in which to hypnotize you, and before you know it, you're half asleep and they got your vote. They got your vote. They don't have to work hard for it. Just tell you any old bullshit. Oh, we're going to cut immigration. We're going to do this. You get turned on. And the minute you turn your back, what do? They're selling arms to terrorist countries. Make America great? I don't think so. They're making their pocket great. Put America first? I don't think so. They're putting interest first, money first, their career first, their power first. They don't give a damn about you. When will you wake up and smell the coffee? Until it happened to your family, your loved ones, your friends? Of course, it's easy to believe the rhetoric as long as other people are suffering from these Muslim attacks. It's okay, we'll believe the rhetoric. But as soon as it happens to our family, then suddenly, oh my God, I wish I'd have woke up. I wish I'd have seen how corrupt our governments are. Donald Trump said he's going to build a wall and keep out the Mexicans. He said he's going to stop Muslim immigration. Do you know this Muslim that did that killing of the 8 cyclists? Did you know he was in America in 2010? He creamed off America. He benefited from America. And what did he do? He did not love America enough to put back into America. How did he put back into America? He killed 8 cyclists. Can you imagine? That was how he rewarded the American booty. That's how he rewarded them. He killed them, plowed into them. So what this tells you, when are we going to learn? 8 people dead and 11 injured in the attack. This is horrible. You know, this is horrible. This is a new wave of terror attack. A new wave of terror attack. And until we accept that Islam is a religion of violence and terrorism, as long as your government are lying to you and brainwashing all these white liberals, all these feminists and LGBT, Islam is peace, Islam is peace, you will continue to be run down like a pack of hound dog to a rabbit. They will kill you, slaughter you until it is too late. I make these videos to try and wake up the masses, but many people rather put their head into a sand. It was horrible what happened. I'm a cyclist myself, so this was personal to me. I wouldn't dare cycle if there's a Muslim driving behind me, because I know Muslims don't value human life unless you're Muslim yourself. But the government won't tell you that. Why? Because oil is involved. They will lie to you and lie to you and lie to you just as long as they get oil. When are you going to wake up to realize the government does not value your life? When?